In the middle of the concrete jungle, surrounded by horns, deadlines, bills, artificial lights, and empty promises, something begins to feel wrong. It's not just fatigue. It's not just stress. It's the feeling that we are living a life that no longer makes sense. That every aspect of the day has been meticulously designed to strip you of your autonomy, your time, your energy, your discernment. The idea of living off the grid, or as they call it, off-grid, for a long time was treated as something for lunatics, hermits, people who had given up on civilization. Today, the narrative has changed. Slowly, silently, thousands of people around the world are choosing to step out of the system. They are leaving cities, quitting traditional jobs, disappearing digitally, and seeking simpler ways of life, more controlled by themselves. And this movement, once niche, has become a global phenomenon. But why is this happening now? What motivates so many people to give up comfort, technology, and progress in order to live in a way that seems harsher, more primitive, more isolated? It's not a trend. It's survival. 1. The collapse of trust in the system. The institutions that for decades sustained public trust, governments, banks, large corporations, media, are in moral and functional ruins. Economic crises, corruption scandals, hyperinflation, narrative control, and the collapse of public services fuel a deep structural distrust. Ordinary people have begun to realize that, in an emergency, no one is coming to save them. The pandemic exposed this brutally. Lost governments, overcrowded hospitals, misinformation everywhere, people dying alone in apartments. It was a collective shock. We are on our own. And if we are on our own, it makes sense to seek a life where that autonomy is real, not just a pretty speech. Going off-grid is accepting that you no longer expect anything from the system. And precisely because of that, you no longer depend on it. 2. The unsustainability of modern cities. The city, once a symbol of progress, has become a prison. Pollution, traffic jams, violence, outrageously expensive housing, food poisoned with pesticides and fast food, invisible neighbors, legal insecurity, screen addiction, and a pace of life that leads to mental collapse. Worse still, cities are the first to fall in any crisis. When supply chains break, markets run out of food. When there is a blackout, urban chaos erupts. When water becomes scarce, rationing turns into war. When social instability rises, violence explodes in urban centers. Anyone who studies survival knows, the city is a dead end. It is a minefield where everything depends on everything else. And that is dangerous. Living off-grid means creating a self-sufficient environment, where you produce part of your own food, collect your own water, generate your own energy, and establish a safe distance from chaotic urban flows. 3. The desire to reconnect with the real. More than running away from something, those who go off-grid are running toward the real. We are tired of lives mediated by screens, algorithms, notifications, and propaganda. The touch of the soil, the silence of nature, the rhythm of day and night, the cycle of the seasons, all of this is real life. It is presence. It is awareness. The anxiety that corrodes millions of people in cities is often just a symptom of complete alienation from the body and from time itself. Living off-grid forces relearning. Cooking, planting, repairing, caring, understanding the weather, reading the landscape. It's like leaving an addictive virtual reality and landing in the real world, where things hurt, take time, but make sense. 4. Technology is a trap. We have never been so connected, and so monitored. Every digital step you take is tracked, stored, analyzed, and often sold. Your data is no longer yours. Your thoughts are manipulable. Your behavior's predictable. Your freedom conditional. Living off-grid has become a form of digital resistance. Erasing your footprint. Exiting the algorithmic control game. Becoming invisible again. Some go even further, abandoning social media, eliminating smartphones, avoiding devices that listen to everything. This is not paranoia. It is lucidity in a world where privacy is treated as suspicious. 5. The global energy crisis. Dependence on centralized energy sources is one of the greatest vulnerabilities of modern societies. And the future does not promise stability. Rising electricity costs, regional blackouts, overloaded grids, dependence on systems vulnerable to cyber attacks. Generating your own energy through solar panels, wind generators, alternative systems has become a necessity. And off-grid living is the ideal model for this. It's not just an ecological choice. It's a guarantee of life continuity in the event of collapse. 6. Inflation and modern slavery. Money loses value. Wages fail to keep up with the cost of living. Every month, you work more to have less. Debt becomes inevitable. Freedom, impossible. In this context, living outside the logic of mass consumption is the only real form of freedom. Growing your own food. Collecting your own water. Drastically reducing fixed expenses. Creating local income through products, services, or crafts. Breaking free from the production, consumption, debt cycle. Off-grid living is the only life model where true financial freedom is still possible. And more than that, where you don't pay rent just to exist. 7. The need to prepare the next generation. Those who go off-grid often aren't thinking only about themselves. They think about their children. About the kind of world they want to raise them in. A child raised in a natural environment, learning from an early age to plant, care for animals, read the sky, respect time, and solve problems with their own hands, is a strong child. Resilient. Truly intelligent. Meanwhile, the urban education system pushes children in front of screens, teaches blind obedience, stifles creativity, promotes toxic competition, and produces dependent, fragile, lost adults. Off-grid living has also become a movement of alternative education. Of families who want to raise complete human beings, not just obedient employees. 8. The spiritual call. Finally, there is something that escapes any rational explanation. A call. A discomfort. A desire for silence. For starting over. For reconnecting with something the concrete has smothered for far too long. Many describe it as an awakening. As if something inside finally realized there is no more time to postpone real life. This spiritual dimension, unrelated to institutionalized religion, moves many people. Leaving the system is, at its core, a vote of confidence in one's own soul. A refusal to accept that life is nothing more than bills and distractions. But what about the challenges? Of course, off-grid living is not romantic. It's hard. It's lonely. It's exhausting. It's uncertain. But it's also real. And those who make this transition with open eyes, planning, and constant learning discover something that cannot be bought anywhere: autonomy, pride, clarity, and above all, the feeling of truly living your own life, not a simulation of it. What does off-grid mean today? The term has expanded. It's no longer just about living in an isolated cabin without electricity. It can mean living in rural areas with minimal infrastructure, living in converted vans, van life, building self-sustaining communities, creating urban microfarms, abandoning social networks and banking systems, using only solar energy and artesian wells, homeschooling children, building with earth, wood, and natural materials, having backups for everything: water, energy, communication, food. Everyone adapts off-grid living to their own reality. But the common point is independence from the traditional system. Conclusion: why is the world going off-grid? Because the system no longer fulfills its role. It sickens, exploits, alienates, and lies. And people are beginning to realize this. Living off-grid is more than planting tomatoes and installing solar panels. It is a declaration. A political act. A silent scream: I no longer belong to this. And more people are hearing that scream. And remember, always be prepared.